Hey everybody, it's Frozen and thanks for joining me. Today I wanted to cover the 10 most commonly asked questions about thru hiking or section hiking the Appalachian Trail. These questions come up a lot, not only on whiteblaze.net or Reddit forums, but even on Facebook groups every year. So I thought I would just throw this out there. For those that don't know me or maybe are new to the channel, I thru hiked back in 2019. I met an awesome group of people and I absolutely loved the experience. So with that in mind, let me cover these questions. First question is, and I think this is the most commonly asked question of all time, do I need a bear canister? The short answer is no, you do not need a bear canister to hike the AT, although it is required in some sections. Now these sections are very short in length. We're talking 3 to 6 miles, and I believe there's only maybe 1 or 2 at the most sections where this is required. The way to get around this is simply don't spend the night in those areas. Simply plan and hike through those areas without the bear canister and you will be perfectly fine. I never had a problem with bears. In fact, I didn't even see a bear on my thru hike. So as long as you're careful and you hang your food properly, the worst thing you have to worry about things getting into your food are going to be small rodents like mice or rats or flying squirrels or chipmunks, etc., etc. So don't worry about the bear canister. Feel free to carry it if you want, but it's not required. This is one of my favorite questions and I can't wait to answer this for you all. Are the whites the hardest part of the trail? And by whites, I mean the White Mountains in New Hampshire. The White Mountains in New Hampshire are very difficult, they're very technical, and some of it is even considered bouldering, but there is a saying on the Appalachian Trail. The saying goes like this: congratulations on completing the approach trail. Welcome to Maine. Don't think just because you're out of the White Mountains that things are going to get easy, because they are about to get a lot harder. Do not go into Maine injured. Rest up and then start the state. Where is the best place to find accurate weather information? So you can do this a couple different ways. I'll tell you what I did, see if it works for you. If not, you can always use a local weather app like WeatherBug or weather.com or whatever you want. But there is an app in existence called atweather.org. Not only is it an app, but it's also a website. All you got to do is type in atweather.org. You can actually select not only the AT, but the Pacific Crest Trail as well. And it asks you for your state or your closest mileage marker, and it will be able to give you a pretty accurate forecast, at least in my experience, of the weather you can expect for the following week. It's actually really great. I used it a ton of times on the AT, while I had signal, and it was a really useful place, and it's kept very updated and very clean. Who is the best wireless provider on the trail? Your answer here is typically Verizon. For my thru hike, I had Verizon the whole way up and I really never had a problem, though I didn't have a lot of communication with my friends and family back home. I was, however, able to get a quick text message or a quick phone call on the top of a ridge or mountain when I needed it, with the exception of the northern states. After you get into New Hampshire and onto Maine, you're really not gonna have cell phone signal. So if this is something that's really important for you and your loved ones or family back at home, think about getting some kind of spot device or a Garmin inReach. They have an associated service plan, but they rely on satellite systems instead of your local cell phone towers. How far should I walk a day if I want to complete the trail in time? This is going to be personal preference. Okay, for me, I like to stick between the 16 to 20 mile range, but I started off the trail at about 14 miles per day. So you need to find what you're extremely comfortable with, something that maybe you would do during a day hike. That's my recommendation. Start off slow. Don't try to do a 20-mile day coming out the gate. Even if you are comfortable with it, it's not a race, it's not a rush. Last one to Katahdin wins. Just go at your own comfortable pace. And eventually your legs will get used to hiking every day and you'll develop something called trail legs. Trail legs happen, I'd say, between mile 500 and 600, somewhere around there. Your body's just used to it. It's kind of like when you first start your workout on January 1st, because everybody wants to get fit for the new year. You're sore, you're just hurting in the morning, you can't really sleep at night. and then all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, you're perfectly fine and your body's recovering like it should. So keep that in mind when you're setting your mileage. Don't overdo it, especially at the beginning. Don't risk injury early on. How much water should I carry? This is a very valid question. When I started, I was carrying about 2 liters of water. I filled up pretty much every stream until I realized that every stream was about 6 to 8 miles away. So I never carried more than a liter after Pennsylvania. There's just so many places to fill up, and if you're using an app called Gut Hooks, you'll know when the streams are coming, so you can really prepare how much water you want to carry each day. Speaking of Gut Hooks, should I get the AWOL guide or should I get the Gut Hook app? My official answer to that question is get both. Both are very useful. If you could only get one, I suggest you get Gut Hooks though. AWOL guide is really nice for town stops, and Gut Hooks has a lot more information about the trail and what to expect each day. There's also a great collection of comments when it comes to shelters or specific points of interest along the trail. If you are going to get the AWOL guide, you can get it as a PDF, so it doesn't weigh anything and fits in the comfort of your palm on your smartphone though. That's what I did, and it worked out great. Should I carry camp shoes? The debated camp shoe topic. There is a lot of great reasons to carry camp shoes. I'm going to be completely honest. Not only is it helpful to, kind of dry out your feet, relax them, get them out of your socks and your wet shoes every night at camp, but you can also use them in town and in showers. The showers in the hostels, sometimes you might find aren't the cleanest conditions, and you do run the risk of getting things like athlete's foot or some foot fungus or some just nasty things. For me, I never really had a problem because I made sure to wash my feet very well every time I was in the shower. I personally didn't carry camp shoes, but it can go either way. There was never a specific time that I wanted or felt like I needed camp shoes. I just took my regular shoes and my regular socks, and I was perfectly fine with that. But I saw plenty of other people that had camp shoes that couldn't live without them. So whatever you want to do, it doesn't really matter. And the final question, is Pennsylvania really that bad? For those that don't know, Pennsylvania is also known as Rocksylvania when it comes to the Appalachian Trail. And the reason it's called that, as you may have guessed, is there are just a ton of rocks. Sometimes it's like hiking on a completely different planet.
Did we get on another planet?
What is this?
This is the moon.
I can attest to saying that, yes, it is that bad. A lot of people will tell you no, but in my experience on the trail, yes, it's absolutely terrible. Now, Pennsylvania has some really, really good sections as well. It's not all rocky. In fact, the trail will actually stay rocky from Virginia all the way to the end of Maine. You'll have some brief moments of pleasure in Connecticut and New Jersey, but other than that, once you hit Virginia, the rocks will begin, especially around the roller coaster area of Virginia. So it's not just Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is kind of where the worst types of rocks happen. So we're looking at these turtle shell rocks, and once they get wet, all you really can do is just stare at your feet and trudge on. Now, I will say that you can do a lot of miles in Pennsylvania because the terrain is fairly tame when it comes to elevation, and that's the big thing. My suggestion for people that really aren't going to enjoy Pennsylvania, just get in and out as fast as you can and try to make it to the Delaware Water Gap, and you will have much, much better views and a much better time. I personally did not like Pennsylvania at all on my hike. If I could skip a state, that would be the state that I would skip. Anyway guys, I hope that gave you some insight to the commonly asked questions from what I've seen. If you enjoyed this video, consider sharing, subscribing, and give it a like. I really appreciate it, and please leave me a comment telling me your questions about the trail, and I will try to answer them possibly in a future video. Thanks everybody, I'm Frozen. I'll see you on the trail.